In the historical feature film, history often works in service of narrative, drama, and entertainment. In documentaries, it can be used as evidence in a persuasive argument. We know this isn't real.
Thomas.
We know this is propaganda. But what about this?
On the morning of the 21st, McDowell sent his men across Bull Run. They smashed into the
Of course it's television, so it's not real. But the historical documentary in this form makes claims to truth and authenticity that transcend argument. They attempt to bring history to life. How? Why?
The center of the southern line was a Virginia.
Talkie, there goes your cue. You're next on screen.
Okay.
Just a song and twilight.
The Chronicle's producers felt that reenactment was the best and perhaps only way to capture the emotional power of film. While historic scenics and most other educational films from the 1920s failed to employ the affective potential of the film medium, sound lent a dramatic texture to expository works. Strategic sound bursts and driving new style narrative.
The surrender of Cornwallis at Yorktown, this marked the beginning of the United States as a free nation.
Held a dramatic weight, which allowed reenactment to serve a more illustrative purpose. In the sound era, educational films continued,
Congress adopts the Stars and Stripes.
and the use of material cultural artifacts persisted.
The facsimile of the original resolution passed by the Continental Congress June 14, 1777, adopting the flag of the United States.
But the landscape of nonfiction history films was dominated by government films for public projects and war efforts. New Deal works could be critical of the mistakes of the past to set the stage for proposed solutions. At the onset of World War II, government films changed their critical focus from American problems to the enemy.
Here, men insisted that progress lay in killing freedom. Here, they were putting out the lighthouses.
And celebrated American values in the process. But no matter where their criticism was directed, government films made no attempt to hide their purpose. History was a tool in service of argument. But historical truth and accuracy on film was the objective of educational films. Through the 1930s and 40s, the audience for educational films grew in size, but narrowed in diversity. Education of immigrants and other adults was a marginal goal compared to the needs of a growing number of children in the classroom. As a result, a genre of educational films developed outside of the needs of a more general public. The Civil War, as depicted by Ken Burns, is sometimes seen as a milestone in popular historical documentary making. So what's the big difference between his work and this Encyclopedia Britannica film from 30 years earlier? By the release of this film on the Civil War, the general structure of this historical documentary had been cemented.
In 1863, a special train had come up from Washington, bringing a mighty important man who had to...
Both films derive authenticity from the use of artifacts like photographs, footage of actual historic sites, and readings from period documents.
If Virginia stands by the old Union, so will I.
But Burns' film relies less heavily on reenactments, and probably most importantly, while this 1954 version attributes consulting credits to a historian, Burns' film incorporates interviews with historians. Government initiatives increased access to archival materials. Portable film and video equipment made it possible for a larger group of people to participate in documentary production. In the Academy, the new social history gave validity to group and individual experience.
His story starts at the Tallahatchie River in Money, Mississippi.
One good example of the culmination of these forces is the documentary Eyes on the Prize, covering the civil rights movement. This program combined archival footage and period interviews with modern reflections.
I guess our courage came out because we didn't have nothing, that we couldn't lose nothing, but we wanted something.
The voice of historians let Burns employ them as interpreters, who explained why things happened.
If there was a single event that caused the war, it was the establishment of the United States in independence from Great Britain, with slavery still a part of its heritage.
Allowing the rest of the film to seem only concerned with how they happened,
Hundreds of Washingtonians in holiday mood rode out to Manassas hoping to see a real battle.
The proliferation of actual archival footage made reenactments less necessary and more questionable as a source. As a result, Burns uses more abstract representations, which actually have the effect of being more emotionally engaging than most reenactments. While one result of new technologies was the voice of counterhistories, another was the creation of channels for educating a broader public on television, somewhat similar to the market opened up by the non-theatrical field in the 1920s. Public television programs were created for this broad audience and provided comforting patriotic narratives for their consumption.